Today's conversation is really about a social contract with a dramatic title, The Vernacular Vortex. A social contract, of course, is a matter that has been discussed for a very long time. We don't actually know if we even have one, or in what is its nature, what is its character. We also kind of exist in a world of politics today that is extremely amorphous, ambiguous, and gray in nature, if at times also pulled to various degrees of, if I could use the word, nonsense. I'm sometimes reminded as I wake up in the morning of two characters who look alike, who talk alike, who dress alike, who come and face each other on one afternoon. And this is what one says to the other. Says, what is not. What is not is. What could be, might be. What might be, could. Now that's logic. Those characters are called Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And they come from a book called Alice in Wonderland. So sometimes we wake up to this kind of sense. Let me just say a little about how the conversation is going to proceed and unravel. Basically, we are going to allow each of the speakers to speak for about 5 minutes, 5 to, at the most, 10, depending on the veracity of what you're saying, during which time I will intervene, 5 to 10 minutes. And then we have a series of questions for the various panelists. And since the conversation series stresses that it wants to be interactive, we will then open up the floor for question session of about 45 minutes to an hour. I know Cheryl has to leave by 10, so we'll try and control things as firmly as possible. So I won't take up much time in introduction. I'll ask Prof. Shad to basically open, and then we'll go with Suki and Cheryl, and then YB Senator, please.
Thank you. Good evening. I prepared a PowerPoint. There it is. I called it Building Bridges and Dismantling Walls, Restoring the Constitution's Spirit of Accommodation. Now, I'm sure you'll agree with me that nation building in every plural and divided society poses lots of challenges in every country. Now, looking at Malaysia's federal constitution, all in all, it can be said that it was in many respects a masterpiece of compromise, compassion, and moderation. Something not so well known because constitutional literacy is very weak. I have to say this without apologies, though I know some lawyers won't like it. In this country, it's possible to become a lawyer, to become a judge, without having studied the Malaysian constitution for a single day. Because you can be a foreign graduate, you can be called to the bar, you can move up into the judiciary, never having studied the constitution, its glittering generalities, its attempt at giving to everyone something. Now, though we have many flaws, indeed we do, we are not, I have to say this, we are not a nation at war with ourselves or with anyone. Peace, harmony, and prosperity exist much better than many other Asian and African societies. And I think till the 90s, Malaysia was regarded by many nations as an exemplar of a nation in which democracy and development, peace and prosperity, tradition and modernity could coexist. Could I go to slide 3 now, sir? I think the reason for this was that our forefathers, those who drafted our constitution, I'm not talking of the Reid Commission, but of those in the background who supplied to the Reid Commission the terms of reference. I think they understood that the law cannot by force extinguish the special regard that people in every country have towards their religion, race, region, culture, language, or tribe. Efforts to promote a national identity should involve the recognition that unity does not mean uniformity. It has to be a unity in diversity. Could I go to slide 7 now? Now, because of the fact that Malaya was historically the land of the Malays, the Constitution incorporated a number of features indigenous to the Malay archipelago, among them the Malay Sultanate, Islam as the religion of the Federation, the grant of special position to the Malays, and in 1963 to the natives of Sabah Sarawak, Malay Reserve Land, Bahasa Melayu as the official language, special protection for the customary laws of the Malays and the natives of Sabah Sarawak, weightage for rural areas, which are predominantly Malay, in the drawing up of electoral boundaries, reservation of some top posts in the state, but not at the federal level, for Malays, and legal restrictions on preaching of other faiths to Muslims. However, I have to quickly point out that the Malay-Muslim features are balanced by other provisions suitable for a multiracial and multi-religious society. The Constitution is replete with safeguards for the interest of other communities. Notable features are the following. I don't have the time, so I'll just read out the heading. Citizenship rights are granted on a non-ethnic and non-religious basis. I've been to some countries. For example, I drafted the Constitution of the Maldives in the 90s. The first requirement is you must be a Muslim. But here we don't have any such requirement. The electoral process permits all communities an equal right to vote and to seek elective office. The chapter on fundamental rights, Articles 5 to 13, grants fundamental rights to all citizens irrespective of race and religion, though there are some exceptions. At the federal level, membership of the judiciary, the cabinet, parliament, federal public services, and the special commissions under the Constitution are open to all, irrespective of race or religion. This view put forward in 2008 that non-Muslims and non-Malays cannot hold top posts. I think this is a little bit of, not a little bit, it's a lot of racist nonsense. It has no basis in the federal Constitution. Except for the Yang di Pertonagong and the Sultans, all posts are open to all other races and religions. Education is free at the primary and secondary level and is open to all. Malaysia meets international standards in terms of providing free education at these levels. At the university level, education is subjected to quotas, and I know that in this area there is a certain amount of there are a lot of complaints here, but nevertheless, to open up educational opportunities for non-Malays, private schools, colleges, universities are allowed. Foreign education is available. In many countries, you can't go abroad to study unless you get a permit from the National Bank. For example, in India, Reserve Bank of India. But here, free movement of trade, free movement of people is allowed. Scholarships and loans are available. Even during a state of emergency under Article 150, some rights cannot be suspended even during an emergency. For example, citizenship. You can't do what Idi Amin did in Uganda or Jomo Kenyatta did in Kenya. You cannot do that even during an emergency. Religion cannot be suspended during an emergency. Language, all languages. Article 150, Clause 6A. The spirit of give and take is very strong in relation to Sabah and Sarawak, at least in the Constitution, though I know things are not working entirely well. Even where the law confers special rights or privileges on the Malays and the natives, there is some protection for the interest of the other communities. For example, though Islam is the religion of the Federation in Article 3, Clause 1, the Sharia does not apply to non-Muslims, and contrary to what some people are arguing these days, Article 3, Clause 1 is immediately accompanied by Article 3, Clause 4, which says nothing in this article derogates from any other provision of the Constitution. In other words, the provision for Islam does not negate, cancel out any other right or duty or institution or procedure. Though Bahasa Melayu is the national language for all official purposes, there is protection for the formal study in schools of other languages. We'll cover this point in more detail later on. If 15 or so kids in a school ask for a language to be taught, the school has a duty. It's not a something, it's not a discretion, it's a duty to provide the teaching of that language. Though Article 89 reserves lands for Malays, I'll just take 2 or 3 more minutes. Article 89 reserves land for Malays. It is also provided that no non-Malay land shall be appropriated for Malay reserves, and that if any land is reserved for Malay reservation, an equivalent amount of land should be opened up for non-Malays. And now, may I come to Article 153 on the special position of the Malays. It's hedged in by limitations not known to most people. First, along with his duty to protect the special interest of the Malays and the natives of Sabah Sarawak, the Yang di Pertuan Agong has a duty to safeguard the legitimate interest of all communities. The Yang di Pertuan Agong is the Agong for everyone and not just for the Malays of the country. Second, the special position of the Malays applies only in the public sector, not in the private sector, and only in 4 prescribed areas. Places in the public service, permits and licenses, post-secondary education, so reservation in the universities and scholarships and other such educational facilities. Third, in the operation of Article 153, no non-Malay heir, no non-Malay or his heir should be deprived of what he already has. Fourth, no business or profession can be exclusively assigned to any race. Fifth, and this is a very well-known, this is a very well-kept secret. I'm saying that jokingly because it's there and no one knows about it. Article 153 says, nothing in Article 153 derogates from Article 136. And what is 136? 136 says, in the public services, there shall be no discrimination on grounds of race. So how do we put 153, reservations, and 136, no discrimination, together? No need for me to strain myself. Tun Sufyan, our Lord President some time ago, in his beautiful book, he says, at entry point, reservations and quotas are permitted. But once you are in the public service, there shall be no discrimination on grounds of race. Article 136 is very clear. So I know that this spirit has not been respected. That is why I'm praying for a return to the Constitution's spirit of accommodation. In addition to these legal provisions, we have had a culture, 62 plus 2 pre-Merdeka years, of a culture of political accommodation and moderation. We have had a government for 62 plus 2 years that was actually multi-religious. We have used the economy to bind the people. I went to Bosnia for some official purpose, and one of the things the Bosnian Prime Minister told me, you know, your country has one great success. You have used the economy to keep your people together. Everyone has a stake in the country. That's why no one wants the country to burn. But I know there are dark clouds over the horizon, and but we'll cover that perhaps during question time. All that I want to say by way of ending is this, that the spirit of accommodation that has lasted 62 plus 2 years can overcome the present problems. I think what is needed is leadership, patience, moderation, and tolerance. May I quote, I think it was Jesse Jackson who said, leaders of substance do not follow opinion polls. They mold opinion, not with guns or dollars or position, but with the power of their souls. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.